The Bolsheviks are coming.
What is going on all over this country is progressives are on the march. And just before I left the office, I saw Fox Television in their headlines, "The end of the world is coming. Progressives are winning elections. Socialism is taking over the world." Real panic.
Bernie watches Fox. What's up, Bernie? Come on the show. Finally, Sanders has an army. But Mamdani's commies are a whole new breed, and the establishment can't see it coming.
We talk a lot about the party being a big tent party, and we should be.
We are a big tent party. That's who we are.
One of the things that makes the Democratic Party great is it's a big tent party. We need to stay that way.
These people are fools. The tent's not big enough for both of them. When the commies come in, they're not going to share it. They're there to take you out. The communists are like parasites. They're going to use the Democratic Party to get ballot access, get elected, caucus with them when it works, and then suck them dry until they die. The party did it to themselves. They screwed up so badly and didn't deliver a damn thing when they had power that they had to play footsie with the commies to shore up their base. And now they're completely out of power. They're weak, brands in the toilet, and they opened the door just a crack, and danger walked right in. These people are cold-blooded revolutionaries who want to bury America. Bury it. Some Democrats get it.
Lady, I ain't in the same party as you. I'm sorry. I just not. Everybody's always said, no, we're coalition, we're a big tent. And there's just some that I can't be in the same tent with. These people do not like Democrats. Not only are they not Democrats, they wish Democrats poorly. But I'm done. I'm not in a political party.
The Cajun Paul Revere. But the commie wave is creating a lot of cowards. Anonymous D.C. executives are calling it an earthquake, but they won't go public. Phones are ringing off the hook with people asking, quote, are we going to let them take over the party? Or are we going to stand up and fight back? That right there is the question. And can the Democrats fight commies and Trump? They've been fighting Trump so hard they got a blind spot. Ask any general. When you're fighting someone on the left and on the right, that means you're surrounded. That means you better have a big old gun and a big old bunker. Guerrilla warfare on the left, conventional warfare on the right. The Democratic Party, as it stands today, can't win that battle. They can't beat Trump, and they're afraid of their own base. And Democrats, they don't know who to trust. Like AOC. Whose side is she on? Well, I think we know.
I feel like it's deja vu all over again. There was so much fear around that when I was elected, and none of it bore out to be true.
None of it bore out to be true? The squad defunded the police and gave us riots, crime, and DEI. And AOC's little friend Omar, her Somali buddies, cost us $18 billion. And this new crew is to the left of them. These people want taxpayer-funded sex change surgeries. No borders, no prisons, no police. You know how you start a revolution? Same playbook. You raid the treasury, empty the prisons, and take out the cops. These people said we deserve 9/11, and they got elected in New York. Matt Taibbi writes this, quote, the Zoran revolution is a whole hog, F-it, real thing version of Marxian socialism, instantly recognizable to anyone who's ever lived in a socialist country. This movement's young, it's ethnic, media savvy, with a real desire to overthrow the American system. Whole thing. Chevalier, one of the Mamdani extremists, called Manhattan occupied Lenape land and says we need to become bad bitches and seize the means of production. Yeah. This is the woman who says she wants to eradicate Western civilization. She's never had a job. She's been a grad student for 7 years. Pocahontas was asked about her, and she played dumb.
A world without borders and a world without prisons or police is possible if necessary, the only moral way forward. She said, abolish the border. All deportation is wrong. I mean, are those sentiments that you think Democratic candidates should hold?
Look, I don't know her. I'm not familiar with what she's written.
They pulled the same thing with Plattner. Oh, I'm not familiar with these allegations that he's abusing women. He's abusing women? I don't know him. Well, does the communist admit she's a communist on live cable TV?
All sorts of Republicans ads to say, this is what you're going to get if you vote for the Democrats, a communist.
For far too long, this reactive conversation of what we should be afraid of has prevented us from being able to have a politics of hope and a politics of life that Democrats can actually identify with.
That wasn't an answer. She's a communist, and she's slick. And we told you last night, these commies have friends in high places.
They're not afraid of the term democratic socialism. I'm not scared of the term. I think they're scared of the term in this country. But Social Security is a democratic socialism. Partly unemployment insurance is. The people who pick up your garbage, the people who take the fire out at your house, all of these things are democratic socialism.
Having a fire department isn't communism. See, what she's doing is she's trying to soft pedal it. But eventually, they'll come for Joy. You let them have their way, they're going to take all Joy's money. But the person with the most to lose? Schumer. Politico says Schumer's office facing a 5-alarm fire. He's feeling that Latin heat.
I would say to Chuck Schumer, dude, you're in danger. Because this, I think, puts a lot of wind in the sails of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Cortez, the conquistador, is sailing straight at Schumer's seat.
Are you more inclined to possibly run for Senate after seeing the results of the 3 races in New York?
I think, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be breaking any news here. I'm definitely inspired and encouraged by all the new faces that we're going to be sending to the State Assembly and to Congress.
Hip's days are numbered. Mamdani is going to tap a commie to give Hakeem a red card.
Are you concerned at all about a primary challenge in 2 years from, a Mamdani endorsed candidate?
When you ask me a serious question, I'll give you a serious answer.
Hakeem's running around D.C. and everyone's telling him he's next. CNBC, they said grow a pair before it's too late.
They were saying you're next about Hakeem Jeffries. You're next. You're next. You're next. You can't think this is a positive development in New York politics, can you? And they'll just, Dems will be Dems or something like that. I don't see how you can say that. You need to reject those things, I think.
First of all, I've clearly rejected those things. That's number one.
Hakeem and Schumer just watched a band of Marxists run up in their backyard and plant a flag. Pelosi never would have let it get this far. She's from San Francisco. She knows how to keep the kooks in line. These 2 dudes are getting walked all over. The View just declared a winner.
I think that New York is the nation's cultural and political capital, and that's just a fact. And I think the Democratic Socialists of America is a force to be reckoned with at this point.
Civil war is going to be ugly. Democrats, TV hosts, Hollywood, they're all going to have to take sides. What's Obama going to say? Nothing. What about Kamala, Clinton, Biden? One of these commies called Joe Biden a rapist and a war criminal. She called Obama evil. These people are here to purge the heavyweights out of the party, straight up. And the more the Democrat establishment fights back against the commie wave, the wave will just get bigger. Being attacked by the establishment legitimizes the commies with the base. The brawl is going to last years. Morning Joe, the must-see Beltway show that keeps the Democratic coalition together, is in mourning.
You have a real wave happening. Joe, I think the Democratic Party, and you've got now 2 Democratic Socialists, is taking on an overall persona. This is where the energy is in the party. You and I can agree to disagree on this. I believe the Democratic Party overall is going too hard left. I believe there is anti-Semitism in there. We'll save that for another day. But I believe this is a branding issue for the Democrats that they are going to have to answer for.
Branding? Well, if you let communists into your party, then you're okay with communism. What kind of American political party hears someone say, oh, well, we're here to destroy Western civilization, and says, come on in, big tent? That's like, you're the babysitter? Your name's Charles Manson? Come on in, big tent. Are they a threat? Absolutely. Are they also so stupid it's kind of funny? Yes. One of these little elves actually wants to have government-run airlines.
My hot take is we need to abolish pre-check. I've got like a million beefs with the airline industry and the process of having to fly. We need to like nationalize the airline industry. But let's start by abolishing pre-check.
So no pre-check, no clear. Everybody waits in one big old line. And Mayor Pete's your pilot. New York's actually been dipping its toes into communism for a while. Nearly half the city's on Medicaid. 20% of the city on food stamps. 1 out of every 3 renters lives in a rent-stabilized apartment, like the rent hasn't gone up in 30 years. 5% of New York City lives in the projects. New York City has a bigger budget than the whole state of Florida, and we're still in debt. No wonder. Everything's free, and the rest is stolen. So now, it's not just foreigners voting commie. These liberal women, you know, they get the college degrees in like sociology. They move into Manhattan and they can't get a job. Shocking. So they can't afford rent. So a bunch of single women with no jobs and degrees have to shack up in the same apartment in the Bronx. And they've been taught in school America's evil, so they get angry. And they vote communist to get revenge. They call these women downwardly mobile. And they're going to take the whole city down with them. But we're not going to let them do it. Last night, Trump spoke at the Great American State Fair and reminded us that life can be hard, but we persevere and always, always win.
Americans crossed the Great Plains, scaled the mighty Rockies, tamed the Wild West, and turned this continent into industrial powerhouses like nobody has ever seen. We laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built the great highways, invented the airplane, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism. We're going to have to do that again.
Most of the country isn't on the commie train. Most of us think they're all crazy.
If you look at Democrats nationwide, look at this. Democrat socialists are on the positive side of the ledger at plus 17 points. This includes Democratic-leaning independents. But look at all voters. A completely different world. 27 points underwater.
You know who else thinks the communists are crazy? The Supreme Court. In a major win for the America First movement, 6-3 vote, SCOTUS just said the government is allowed to turn away asylum seekers at the border. Meaning Latin America can't just caravan up to Texas, claim asylum, and we have to let them in. And in another ruling, 6-3-2, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Trump administration that Syrians and Haitians are no longer protected. The president can revoke their protected status and get them the heck out of the country pronto. Here's Miller.
It has never been the case, to go back to the Haiti example, that you can just take 3 million people from a failed island, put them into America, and overnight that they are able to become fully successful, fully assimilated American citizens. That defies everything we know about how culture works, how assimilation works, how nations work.
Justice Clarence Thomas says this, quote, aliens have no equal protection rights against the federal government. The Mamdani commies may have won a small battle in Manhattan, but these 2 court rulings hit like atomic bombs. It seals the border and lets Trump deport millions of illegals. The Republican Party has to go on offense against these communists, but defense wins championships.
Nếu quý vị thấy nội dung này hữu ích, xin hãy ủng hộ kênh bằng cách nhấn đăng ký, bấm thích và để lại bình luận bên dưới. Sự đồng hành của quý vị là nguồn động lực quý báu để chúng tôi tiếp tục mang đến những nội dung tốt hơn trong các chương trình tiếp theo.